Imagine that every dream you have isn't just a hope, it's a point on a map. Now imagine you've got a compass. In this video, I'm going to show you how to turn that compass into a system, because goals, they're not magic. They're not manifestation, they're engineering. I'm going to share a step-by-step process I used myself from being a broke, no prospect kid to becoming the person you know me as today. And at the end of this video, there's a hands-on part. Together, we'll build your personal weekly action map. But before we dive in, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything important. Because what you're about to hear just might change your trajectory. Let's start with a paradox. Most people have dreams, but very few have goals. And even fewer have a system that turns those goals into achievements. So here's the question. Can a ship reach its port if it has no map and no course? Every day, millions of people set sail on the sea of life with no map. And then they wonder why they end up somewhere they never meant to be. I've always said, life isn't a lottery. It's a plan. When I was 25, I was bankrupt in 2 dimensions, in my wallet and in my mind. I had nothing but a minimum wage job and the feeling that I was lost. Then I met someone who asked me, "Jim, what do you want to achieve?" And just like most people, I said, "I want to be happy, I want more money, I want freedom." And then he smiled and said, "Those aren't goals, those are wishes. Give me a number, give me a date, give me a plan." That was a truth punch. And that's when I sat down for the first time, and not to dream, but to set goals. Here's the thing, there's nothing wrong with dreaming. But if you want your dreams to come true, you've got to turn them into tasks. And those tasks need deadlines, structure, motivation, and most importantly, meaning. A person without a goal is like a car with a full tank but no driver. The potential's there, but there's no movement. I've met plenty of people who were smarter than me. Some had better education, better connections, better starting points, but they all had one thing in common. They were waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for a sign from above. And years went by. Meanwhile, I, starting with nothing, just set a goal and got to work. Not because I was better, but because I had a map. See, goals aren't just lists. They're markers of your destiny. Every goal you write down is a signal to the universe. I know where I'm going. And as my mentor once said, when you know what you want, you start seeing it everywhere. Opportunities don't appear. They open up for the prepared mind. Let me ask you honestly, when was the last time you clearly defined your goal? Not just wished for something vague, but wrote down, by September 1st, I will earn $10,000 by doing specific actions 2 hours a day. Do you have a system that brings you closer to what you want? Every single day? Does each of your days start with a direction, or just with momentum? This isn't about magic. It's about math, because dreams are energy, goals are formulas. If you've got energy but no formula, it disperses. But if you've got both energy and formula, you become a force. And you know what I've noticed? The people who achieve the most aren't always the ones who started with everything. They're the ones who learned how to plan, measure, move. Each of their days becomes a link in a chain. They're not afraid to change the route, but they never lose their direction. In this video, I'm not just going to talk about goals. I'm going to show you a system on the same one I've built over years. We'll look at 3 types of goals. We'll learn how to tell the difference between a dream, a desire, and a task. And most importantly, by the end, you'll get a hands-on exercise to help you build your personal weekly plan. This won't just be motivation, it'll be an instruction manual. Because life doesn't reward wishes, it rewards action. And like I've said many times before, a goal that's not written down is just a fantasy. I've always said, don't start your day without knowing what you're going to do. Don't live your week without a plan. Don't enter a year without goals. Sounds simple, almost like something you'd read on a calendar. But it's a rule that changed my life. And it'll change yours if you take it seriously. Most people confuse a dream with a goal. But there's as much difference between them as there is between wanting to go to Paris and actually having the ticket, the route, and your suitcase packed. A dream is the beginning. A goal is the structure. And here's the key. If you don't structure your desires, the world will do it for you, and often not in your favor. So where do you start? I use a simple system I call the 3-level system. Level 1, short-term goals. These are your motivators. They build momentum. Goals for 30 days, for a week, sometimes even just a day. Ask yourself, What can I do this week to get closer to what I want? For example, read one book, prepare a presentation, start saving even just $5 a day. These goals create a sense of progress, and that fuels self-discipline. Level 2, midterm goals. These are things you want to accomplish within 6 months to a year. These are the ones that start to change your life. But here's the thing. Your goal needs to be not just ambitious, but measurable. Not just earn more money, but make an additional $10,000 on top of my main income by year's end. Then break it down. How much per month? Per week? What's the strategy? And level 3, long-term goals. These span 5, 10, 20 years. They're like stars on the horizon. You don't touch them, but they guide your path. These need to be deep, connected to your values. For example, I want financial independence and to leave a legacy for my kids. That's not just income. That's a lifestyle. That's a strategy. Now, the most important part, your goals shouldn't just be written. They need to be organized. I follow a backward system. If your goal is to have $100,000 in the bank in 3 years, work backwards. How much per year? Per month? Per week? Is that realistic with your current income? What needs to change? What needs to be added? What skills do you need? Who can mentor you? I remember this one young guy from a talk I gave in Kansas City. After the event, he came up and said, "Jim, I dream of being an author, but I don't know where to start." I asked, "Do you have a pen?" "Yeah." "Got a notebook?" "I do." "Then write one page today, another tomorrow. In a month, you'll have a book, but only if it's a goal, not just a dream." A year later, he mailed me a copy, signed it. "From a dream, you turned into action." That's the system in motion. But here's another rule. Your goal has to inspire you. It has to be the reason you get out of bed, even when you don't feel like it. If it doesn't light you up, it's not yours. A real goal is an internal engine. It won't let you quit, even when you're tired. And one more principle. Write your goals down. I mean on paper, not just in your head, not in your phone. Pen, paper, because something magical happens when you turn a thought into a word and a word into a sentence. You commit. You sign a contract with yourself. Like I've always said, don't live life from memory. Live it from a written plan. And remember this, your goal has to be yours, not your parents', not society's, not whatever's trending, yours. Only then does it carry power. If you chase someone else's goal, it won't pull you forward, it'll just wear you out. So let's sum it up. Got a dream? Great. Turn it into a goal. Write it down. Give it a deadline. Add numbers. Break it into stages. And act. Because action is what separates a dream from a result. If you wake up not knowing what to do, your day will follow someone else's script. The world doesn't wait. Success doesn't come to those who think. It comes to those who act. I know this because I've been on both sides. I used to dream and stand still. Then I set goals and started moving. In the next section, we'll talk about inner transformation, because it's not enough to know the system. You have to become the kind of person who lives it. Are you ready? Then let's move forward. So you've got your goals. You've written them down and broken them into steps. But here's the key question. Who do you need to become for those goals to become reality? See, we often think of goals as something external, money, a title, success. But the truth is different. Success isn't what you have. It's who you become. I remember once hearing something from my mentor that forever changed how I approach life. He said, "Jim, don't worry about making $1 million. Think about who you need to become to earn it." That's when it hit me. The goal wasn't the money. The goal was growth. If you become the kind of person who deserves the goal will find its way to you. Picture this. You have a goal to earn $100,000 a year, but are you ready for it? Are you disciplined? Are you organized? Do you manage your time, emotions, and habits? Because if you don't become the kind of person who can sustain that income, it'll vanish just as fast. As the saying goes, money gained without growth disappears as quickly as it came. That's why before you can change your life, you have to change yourself. And that's the hardest part. Because changing your circumstances is easier. You can move to a new country, get a new job, even change your circle. But the most powerful transformation is internal, and it starts with a simple question. Who am I right now? And who do I need to become? If you want to be a leader sent forth to you, you need to think like one, speak like one, learn like one. If you want to be influential wise, you need to learn to influence through words, example, action. If your goal is financial freedom, you need to think like an investor, act like an entrepreneur, live with financial hygiene. Here's the truth. You won't reach your goal with the same mindset that created your current results. New results require a new version of you, and you don't need to wait decades. Start today. Take small steps. Be more precise. Wake up 15 minutes earlier. Track your expenses. Read 10 pages a day. These aren't small things. These are bricks in the foundation of a new identity. See, habits aren't just actions. They're expressions of identity. A person who works out every day isn't just an athlete. They're a disciplined person. And discipline is a universal key. Once you build it, it spills into every area. Money, relationships, learning. When people ask me, Jim, what was the key habit in your growth? I say, self-education. I trained myself every day. Not when I felt inspired, but when I needed to. Because I realized my value in the market doesn't depend on circumstances. It depends on my skills, my knowledge, my decisions. I became valuable, and the world responded. The world always responds to internal transformation. People, opportunities, money, they're not gifts, they're mirrors. They reflect who you've become. And if you want more, you have to be more. It may sound harsh, but it's the kind of truth that sets you free. So I urge you, don't just set financial or career goals. Set goals for personal growth. Ask yourself, what 3 qualities do I need to develop to reach my dream? Maybe it's decisiveness. Maybe it's self-discipline. Maybe it's confidence. Start working on them. Don't wait for life to force you. Train yourself voluntarily. A friend of mine wanted to be a successful manager, but spent years stuck at a mid-level position. One day I asked him, are you studying leadership, practicing public speaking, learning conflict resolution? He got quiet. Turned out his desire to lead wasn't backed by any internal change. A year after he started working on himself, he got promoted, not by luck, by alignment. Because here's the truth. We don't get what we want. We get what we're prepared for. This isn't about morality, it's about readiness. When your internal growth matches your goal, the world starts working with you. One more thing, don't wait for motivation. It's unreliable, it comes and goes. Build character instead. Like I always say, motivation can get you to the gym, but only character gets you results. Character is what makes you act when no one's watching. It's the voice inside that says, I promised myself and then I won't break that promise. So here's my challenge to you. Next time you set a goal, ask yourself, who do I need to become to achieve this? Then start acting like that person today. Think like them. Decide like them. Move forward with their discipline, clarity, and calm. This isn't pretend. It's identity training. And that's where every real transformation begins. Like I said years ago, to have more, you must become more. That rule never fails. In the next section, we're going to do a practical exercise. We'll look at 10 areas of your life and rate each one. Then we'll pick one to focus on for the coming week. This won't just be analysis. It'll be a plan. Because if you want results, you need actions. And we're going to create those actions together. Now let me do what I love most. Give you an exercise that helps turn all these ideas into action. Because you know my rule. No action, no change. No change, everything stays the same. So let's take an honest look at ourselves and figure out where to begin. I want you to grab a pen and paper, or at least open a notes app on your phone. We're going to do a short but deep self-assessment. I'll list 5 areas of your life. Your task is to rate each one from 1 to 10, where 1 means I'm completely dissatisfied, struggling, or ignoring this area, and 10 means this area is in great shape. It's balanced, strong, and aligned with my ideals. Ready? Let's begin. First, physical health. How would you rate your energy, nutrition, and movement? Second, finances. Are you managing your money, or is it managing you? Third, relationships. Does your circle inspire or drain you? Fourth, career or calling. Do you feel purpose in your work? Fifth, learning. When was the last time you learned something new? Now pause. Look at your ratings. This is a mirror. It's not a sentence. It's a diagnosis. Now for the important part, choose the one area that scored the lowest. That's the one holding you back right now. You don't need to fix everything all at once. Focus on one. As I always say, you can't change everything in a day, but you can change something. And that's enough to start a ripple. Chosen? Good. Now write a simple sentence. Over the next week, I will improve this area by 1 point by doing the following actions. And list 3 actions you'll take every day. For example, if you chose health, morning stretch, a glass of water when you wake up, no sugar at dinner. If it's finances, track all expenses, read 1 article on investing, discuss the budget with your family. It doesn't have to be heroic. It has to be specific. Because success loves clarity, and it begins with small commitments done consistently. 1 day, 1 step, 1 action. That's how weak areas become sources of strength. Now one more thing. Write down this commitment and share it in the comments under the video. Why? Because public accountability increases responsibility. You're telling the world, I'm serious. And your example might inspire someone else. Together, we're not just an audience. We're a community. A community of people who don't just listen, they act. And if you're still here, that means you have a real drive to grow. So I'll ask you to do one last thing. Subscribe to the channel. Not just for the numbers end, but so you have a regular reminder. Because in a noisy world, we all need a voice that says you're capable of more and you deserve more. Click like if this section was helpful. And please comment below, which area did you choose? What's your 1-week plan? Write it. And I promise I'll read it. It's not just interesting to me, it's part of my mission, to support those ready to work on themselves. Remember, 1 focused action is better than 1,000 good intentions. And if you do even half of what we talked about today, your goals will start turning into reality, not overnight. But day by day, week by week, you'll begin to build a new version of yourself. And with that, a new life. So my friend, let me leave you with one simple but powerful thought. You have far more strength than you realize. But that strength only reveals itself when a dream turns into action, action into habit, and habit into character. Success doesn't come all at once. It doesn't arrive in the form of some huge breakthrough. It's shaped in silence, in early morning choices, in evening reflections, in notes scribbled in a journal. It's born in the moment when, despite exhaustion, you take one more step. When instead of complaining, you take responsibility. When instead of postponing, you begin. If you watch this video closely, you already know. Your dream isn't some vague fantasy. It's potential, just waiting for structure. And goals are the bridge between imagination and reality. But you are the one who has to build that bridge, brick by brick, with focus, with consistency, without panic, and with belief. I wasn't special. I didn't have capital. I didn't have connections, but I wanted to learn. I had a pen, a notebook, and a system, and I believed in a simple formula. If I become better, My life will become better. It worked for me, and it will work for you. Don't wait for Monday. Don't wait for motivation. Start today. Pick one area, take one step, and watch how life begins to respond, because life doesn't reflect our wishes. It reflects our actions. I'm grateful you stayed with me until the very end. That alone shows there's real determination inside you. Don't let it fade. Use it. Go back to your list. Look at the area you chose and start taking action today. And remember, every single day, you hold the brush, and every action is a stroke on the canvas. Create something you'll be proud of. Create not just a result, create yourself. Until next time. And in the meantime, hit that subscribe button, leave your comment, and remember, your story is just beginning.